good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. You're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance because you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously to Eye on Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, known as the Ambassador of Joy. Notice I didn't say the Ambassador of Joy. The Ambassador of Joy. And you are just going to be filled with joy when you hear our amazing, wonderful guest, which I'm going to introduce in just about a minute or so. I want to tell you something fascinating. So here we are. When I speak to people all over the world, I'm privileged to speak to plus minus 2 million people every month on the internet and in person over 1,500, 2,000. And whenever I mention 2 words, people lean in, open up their ears and say, tell me more. And these 2 words are Las Vegas, because it's full with energy and excitement and all kinds of stuff. I'm going to tell you an interesting data point. If you take the entire population of New York City and everybody around it, the entire population of Chicago and everybody around it, the entire population of Los Angeles, everybody around, add them all together, doesn't equal the number of people that come to Las Vegas in a year. 41 million people come through Las Vegas in a year. Why? It's not about gambling and sex, even though they have that. It's about energy. It's about excitement. It's about enthusiasm. It's about the ability to grow and be free. And you're going to meet one of the most amazing people that are going to help you grow and be free. Welcome, wonderful Dr. Ron Schneebaum. Ron, please say hello to 517,822 people around the world.
Well, hi there.
Well, those of you who are privileged to be watching and not just listening, you are seeing a beatific smile. I mean, his smile lights up not just a room, it lights up a city. In this case, it lights up the world because we're on the internet. Ron, we're so happy that you're here. If I started telling everybody all the things that you've done and accomplished, take the rest of the show. I do want to mention 3 things, though. Number one, Dr. Ron Schneebaum is a pediatrician for over 40 years, but he's not just that he practiced for 40 years. He excelled in what he does because he really is that being that cares. That's why he opened up a wonderful program called Fresh Perspectives. And his real essence of who he is about making sure that he is of service, not just to humanity, but specifically to younger people who need and are experiencing the ability to blossom and grow, and they need that heart-centered life. Is that fair to say, Ron?
That is fair to say, but it's all people. Now that I've retired, now it's all people.
Thank you. Okay, let's just jump right in and talk about something that touched me greatly, and that what you're an expert in. And the ability to think with one's heart. Talk to us about that, because when people hear thinking, they say, wait a minute. I am thinking with my mind. I don't want to get this emotional stuff. I want to think with my mind. What are you talking about, Mr. Schneebaum?
So this is one of the biggest, I don't know if it's misgivings or voids in our society, is the lack of understanding that thinking is not only a brain activity, it's an activity of our heart. And that's not sentimental. That's as real and as solid as anything physical. If a boulder fell off a cliff, it would crush anything below. If we don't feel the heart's love, our psyche is crushed.
Wait. I want to repeat that. If we don't feel the heart's love, our psyche is crushed like the boulder coming down the mountain.
That's it.
Ron, what do we do about it?
Well, that's why I do what I do. So one is to appreciate that love is intrinsic to who we are. So what I mean by that is, suppose you were sitting on a park bench and the little old lady next to you dropped her groceries. You would bend down and help. You wouldn't say, just a second, not so fast, I've got to put on my cloak of compassion. No, it's built in. And love and compassion is a physical experience of love. It's a physical representation of love. So love is built into us. Now, we can strengthen our physical abilities. You know, you can go through your physical therapy and do all the things to do to strengthen your body. we also can strengthen our capacity to love. Only if with physical things, we go after them. With things of the heart, we open ourselves to it.
Wait a minute. I got to tell people, don't write anything down. Just experience what's happening right now. Everything's going to be in the show notes anyway. That's number one. Number two, the reason that we are here and it's recorded is so you have the ability to go back and listen again. And then you can pause and write things down and think about it with your heart and your mind. And this is precious. This is a gift directly from the Lord and the Creator that Dr. Schneebaum is giving us. So let's continue in this process of strengthening the love by opening.
So yeah, that's right. It's if you want an image, it's more like opening the curtains and cleaning the windows. So it's making room for love. Now, let me tell you a simple little practice that everyone can do. Okay? It takes some time to really develop it. When you're about to fall asleep, when you wake up in the morning, or if you wake up during the night, fill yourself with love. Now, let me say what I mean by that. You can do it several ways. One is you can think of any experience of love you ever had in your life. It could be petting your dog when you were a little kid. And what you want to do is fade away the experience and just hold on to that feeling of love.
Hold on to that feeling of love. How does one do that in a world where, because I get letters and emails and such from people all over the world who are in pain.
Okay, so now you're doing this while you're in bed. So the world isn't there. Your body's almost not there. You're falling asleep, and you're just saying. So one way to do that is the way I described. Another way is if you've ever read any religious or spiritual thing that touches you and moves you. Again, drop the prayer, drop the meditation, and hold on to that experience. And then practice that. It takes time to really develop it. And you can practice this while you're driving in a car, sitting in a boring meeting. You can fill yourself with love. So that's one part of what I do. And the interesting thing about love is that when you work with it, you can only work with it if it's in you. So if you do a kind thing for someone, you have to have love within you. It has to be alive in you. So in every kind act you do, you're first filling yourself with love. I mean, just imagine, suppose you have something on your mind and your child needs you. You would drop what's on your mind, fill yourself with love, and attend to them.
And so I believe you're telling us that you just created a remarkably powerful cycle that keeps getting bigger and bigger. The cycle begins with love and is enhanced by kindness, and the kindness enhances the love and the compassion, and the result is not just that you're thinking in love and speaking in love and feeling in love, but you're actually doing love. Is that correct?
And then you can add another dimension. If somebody has a spiritual connection, that's another door that opens love and brings that into your being. So you feel it from that place also. And then it's another thing, Barry, that I appreciated, that I came to realize I wanted to be the best pediatrician I could be. So to do that, I had to be medically strong and medically sound, but I also had to address each person as they were as a human being. Unfortunately, modern medicine treats medicine as like a car shop, like an automobile, where this part is broken, we can fix that. This part is running down, come in for another checkup soon. You're getting old, come in for your checkup so we can see what we need to fix. We forget there's a human being in all that. And if we don't address the human being in all that, we miss the healing art of medicine. And addressing the human being is simply imagining, here it is, how do you experience what you're going through? How can I support you in that? It could even be to say, Barry, what you're going through is so incredible. I can't believe you're doing that. You're my hero. That would make somebody feel better. And when they feel better, that impacts their body and how their body feels. We don't learn that.
Wait a minute. This is put on pause. So not only do you, as Dr. Schneebaum, not learn that in medical school, it is not part and parcel of the approach to car shop medicine, as we'll call it. It's not holistic, and therefore you're not really treating the human being, you're treating a being. You're missing the human aspect. That's what you're talking about, right?
That's right. And then one of the great mysteries to show that there's truth in this is almost 50% of doctors today report feeling burnout. Burnout, I believe, happens when the enthusiasm that you originally had for medicine dies out. And it dies out because of various stumbling blocks along the way. But I think chief among them is not having this connection with people where we feel like we not only help their body, we help their soul. We help them feel better about living their life because they know we're there for them.
So I want to mention three things in quick succession. Number one, our acronym, you know that I'm the king of acronyms. Acronym for love is living on vibrant energy, living on the vibrational plane. So that's number one. We talk about the ability to heal is a frequency. It's vibrational. One person to another, especially in the case of the doctor who has authority, by the way. The beauty of the doctor is that you, as a physician, he or she, has authority. So when you say you're looking good, I appreciate you, and things like that, that means a lot. The other thing is kind. Kind stands for keep inspiring noble deeds, which is what you're doing right now. You're inspiring noble deeds.
Yeah, and we all can do this, and that's what makes life enjoyable and great. So a second part of thinking with the heart is and this too is never taught, but thinking with the heart is opening yourself to love, and then through that you imagine the person that you're with experience and the challenges they face from their perspective. So it's not judgmental. You're seeing it from their perspective, and then you inwardly ask, how do I serve them? How do I support them? How do I be there for them? And then you act based on that.
So did you practice this in your 40 years as a pediatrician? Obviously, maybe not the first year because you weren't trained that way. As you came to these realizations, did you practice it, and were you able to influence other practitioners, other doctors?
Well, so let me answer your first question first. I came to medicine in a very funny way. As a kid, I never did schoolwork. I stopped reading when I was 12. I didn't have a major in college. They made one up for me the day before I graduated. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't think about it.
How did you become a doctor? Before you answer that, we have sponsors that love our show. We wouldn't have them on if we didn't think they're worthy of your time and attention. We'll be right back. Don't go away. There is more Ron, Dr. Schneebaum, on the other side of this message. This is so wonderful. Thank you. Be right back.
Any business leader who has stood in front of potential investors can tell you, creating a vivid, compelling vision of the future can be the difference between bankruptcy and billions. If you can move people with words, you can practically will things into existence. Something that seems impossible can be made to seem inevitable. But not with bullet points, with a well-crafted and well-told story. I spent 30 years in advertising, creating stories for giant brands, universities, and governments, and changing people's hearts and minds. And over those years, I accumulated a treasure chest of insights about how to entertain and inspire and move people. And I think I can teach you. Can you think of a tool more powerful than human speech? See how your value changes when you start to master the oldest human art form.
good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Ron Schneebaum. He is the essence of health. By the way, here's a great acronym for health. Health, Health, helping everyone achieve life through happiness. That's what Ron does. And he's now telling us, and he did not go in that traditional track of, well, I'm going to go to pre-med and going to go to school and get all my A's. And He didn't even know what he was going to do, and he became a doctor. How did you do that?
So I became a school teacher, and that was a quirky, unbelievable situation, how that was. And then at one point I said, if I'm going to teach, I've been in school every year of my life. I don't know that I want to teach. I tripped into that one. It just another story. And I thought, if I want to teach, I really need perspective. So I decided I would go to someplace beautiful and just work. So this is a kid from New York City who grew up in an apartment, who never did a stitch of work in his life. And I pictured my dream was to have this blue-collar job somewhere in Alaska, living above the diner and going down in the morning and say, I'll have the usual little. So I drove up the Alaskan highway, which was 1,200 miles of gravel. Long story short, found a job in a logging camp in the Alaskan wilderness. And then I thought,
just to be clear, when you're talking about a logging camp in the Alaskan wilderness, are you dressed in that special kind of checkered coat with that special hat and gloves and wielding a big axe?
Well, there were two parts to where I worked. There was one part that was the logging operation, and the other part was the mill. I worked by the mill. But there are stories I don't want to spend all of our time because it's not about me. It's really about the conversation.
I'm a doctor.
But I ended up working in business after that. I thought I never knew anything about business. I thought that would be interesting. And because winter was coming on, I didn't want to stay the winter in Alaska. So I ended up getting a job in the middle of Manhattan on 48th and Lexington Avenue in a newspaper advertising related business. And one Saturday, I was perfectly happy and I was reading the newspaper and an ad fell out onto my lap. And this caught my attention. It was on glossy paper, thick glossy paper, and it described a pre-med program at Columbia University for college graduates who want to go to medical school but don't have the math or science background to get into medical school. So I didn't take any math or science courses. And for some reason, that ad jumped out at me. When I looked at
it, the world needs you, Ron.
Well, when I looked at it, an image came to mind, an image of a person having a heart attack. It was a guy probably in his late 40s. And as I looked at that, I imagined that he would want to have a good physician to take care of his heart disease, but then he would have questions about, what do I do with myself? What do I tell my friends? What does this mean to me? How do I go forward? And I thought he wouldn't see a psychiatrist to seek the answers to these questions. They would go to the same person that diagnosed his heart disease, that's treating his heart disease. And I said, wow. So medicine has a combination of it being intellectually challenging and being interpersonally fulfilling. And I said, that's for me. And I had no background. My parents never even took me to doctors growing up. I never had a checkup.
Okay, wait. This is so intriguing and so wonderful. I love that the ad, the good Lord said, hello, I have a message for you, Ron. Please pay attention. What you did, though, is this is the Ron Schneebaum approach to life. You had an image. So before we were talking about having an image of the other person as a doctor, understanding the other person's issues and therefore being able to relate. Now you had an image of somebody having a heart attack and you being able to be of benefit. Let's talk about kids for the moment, not for the moment, for a few minutes, and talk about the power and the way to heal childhood hurts. It didn't seem like you had a bad childhood. You didn't have a lot of hurts. You're a kid. What do you do to help children who have been in very dysfunctional environment, and they are hurting in their heart more than even physically. Although the heart is creating physical.
And this goes on and lasts a person's entire lifetime. I saw that over and over. I saw it with my own mother. It lasts their lifetime. And I thought to myself, why does it last so long? And then through my observation of kids, I came to both my understanding and a way out. So let me tell you what I mean. One is, if somebody gets treated terribly, and I could cite many examples, what the childhood psyche does, for reasons I don't understand, but it happens, it then manages the situation by having the child believe that what is said is true and then burying it in the unconscious. That then becomes the filter through which they see the world. So the child ultimately realizes, I'm not loved and I'm not lovable. And when you meet the world that way, that is a tough way to go. And so then your life is about either depression or survival. And survival means proving that I'm better than somebody else and stepping on anyone else's whatever to prove. It's about proving myself. And so one step in healing is to realize that all that happened, no matter how bad your background was, wasn't because of you. That it was people should have been better. They were adults. They were your parents. They were your caretakers. They should have done better. The fact they did that, you need to like pull yourself out of a train wreck so you can heal, because that isn't your story. That's their story. And you don't need to hold on to it anymore.
And how do you communicate this very deep personal understanding to a 13-year-old girl who is now in a difficult situation because dad got divorced and somebody else is living there and all kinds of, stuff.
So you just talk real. So let me tell you a couple of examples. Someone is seeing this girl who was essentially raised by her grandmother and her grandmother's partner, and they both drank and told her she was a terrible person and her father would have been better off if she was never born. And so it's not miracle, but it's over time talking with her and saying, that's not true. They have some issues. That's not true. You really are incredible. And you can point out various ways that you're really solid. And, it would be great if there were a giant supportive community around, but that's the work over time. So I saw a kid recently, I described this in my book. I was telling a story of this recently. There was a kid who his mom brought him in because he was angry. Okay, so I talked one day, he was a basketball player, and I said, he said he didn't like when people got in his face. So I said, suppose you were the coach of your basketball team and somebody heckled you. And anytime somebody heckled your best player, whenever they got heckled, they would lose their game. They'd get frustrated and upset and so on. What would you say to him? So he said, I'd tell him to focus. I said, yeah, focus on life. Don't let life heckle you. Well, it turned out that didn't last. It helped him for a while, but he came back in again with the same problem. And then we talked together. It turns out he was 16, an only child. His dad left when he was around 3, and he hated seeing his single mom struggle so hard, and he was mad that his father was out of the family. He was mad that he didn't have a father. And that's really what drove his anger. And I said to him at one point, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you something that most adults don't get. I once saw a 3-year-old who was running and he tripped over a rock, a big boulder, and then he went back when he got up and kicked the rock for it getting in his way. You're being angry because your dad's not in your family makes as much sense as that little kid kicking the rock.
I want to put you on pause for a moment. Did that, first of all, you're a man who creates image, and it's wonderful. The images are so vibrant, so alive. Did this young man hear it and see it?
And then I went a little further. I'll tell you what he saw. I said, and that's because you say to the world, if I'm really mad, you'll realize that I'm mad and you'll fix it. You'll bring my father back. Well, that's not going to happen. And I said, there is an approach you can take. You can say to yourself, here it is. My mom worries about how angry I get. Instead, I'm going to make her proud of me. I'm going to make it so she's proud of everything I do. Through that, I will grow into being my best self. And through that, if my dad ever did come back, and I'm not saying he will, but if he ever did, he would say, this is one neat kid. What a shame that I missed spending time with him.
Okay. And did that happen? Did that create a shift in perspective?
His eyes lit up.
Okay.
I think he got it. Now, how much that one experience, how much that one time made a difference, that I can't know. But
so let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at something, because people who are listening to the show know that we use this a lot. The word is mad. He was angry. He was mad. So our way of looking at stuff, what we call a shift in perspective, MAD stands for make a difference. And that's what you did with this young man. You helped him he said, I'm going to become the best I can be. And then, by the way, that's what this show is all about. It's not about Ron, great guy that he is, or Barry, fabulous fellow. This show is about you. Y-O-U.
And then in the little video that I made, I said to the listeners, because this was like for social media, I said, so how do you respond when things don't go your way? Do you kick the boulder? Do you pout and get upset? Or do you find another way?
Okay, we're going to find another way, because we live in joy daily. Joy stands for Journey of You. Ron, by the way, during the break, I created an acronym for your first name. May I share it with you?
Please do.
Ron, R-O-N, stands for resilience opens nurturing.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. You're a nurturer, aren't you?
Now, can I tell you a couple of other things that I've done? And I only say this because people can do it. I one day said to myself, through various outer circumstances, is love a spiritual practice? Is trying to do the right thing, the best thing, and following my heart, is that a spiritual practice? So I did an experiment. I shut myself off from every religious spiritual practice I had. I stopped reading, I stopped listening to anything, I stopped doing holidays, and only followed love. And I said to myself, if I discover along the way that I don't feel as inwardly connected as I did before, I'll take a look and see what's missing and add that back in. And in the end, I realized that love is a full spiritual practice. And that
love is a spiritual practice.
And that love lives within. That means the heavenly lives within. And then I say to people, how differently would you act if you knew that a piece of the heavenly lived within you?
Because heaven is in you. Now, I am loath to say the words I'm about to say. We're coming to a close on our time together in this segment, wonderful Ron Schneebaum. By the way, everybody should know Schneebaum means snow tree. And he is a great, amazing big fir tree. Ron, I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
Yep.
Number 1, will you come back again?
I'd love to.
Woo! Thank you. Number 2, Dr. Ron Schneebaum, the doctor who almost never was. You have 80 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
To help people see that we can live from our hearts as well as our intellects, because that's the only way we're going to save this little planet. And I worked on a book I wrote for 20 years that I finally published that's called Bigger Hearted, a retired pediatrician's prescriptions for living a happier life.
Again, everything's in the show notes. And this beaming, bountiful, beneficent, amazing person who is opening up our hearts to enable us to live fully. 3rd question, may I give you a hug in front of 218,922 people around the world?
You got it.
Okay, let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited, giving. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Remember, you listen to Eye on Las Vegas is the essence of energy, enthusiasm. And you've had Dr. Ron Schneebaum. Again, I urge you, listen again, take notes, get involved, Open up your heart to compassion and love and be kind, because it works. That's the benefit of everything you heard today. It works. And we have a blessing coming from Ron and Barry, and that is go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Ron, don't go away.